Hi, welcome to Retiring Well, folks. We got a great show lined up for you. We're going to be talking about two similar portfolios which ended up with two drastically different results. We're going to talk about the estate tax exemption. What is that? What are ladybird deeds? Talk a little bit about retirement analyzers. This is an income planning tool that we have. And then I'm going to talk to you about the income bucket approach and what that's all about. So folks, stay tuned.
Retiring Well, brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well, plan to retire well.
Listen, in this segment, I want to have a little bit of fun with you, okay? I'm going to take two brothers. They're going to retire at the same age. All right, and they're going to start off with the same amount of money. Let's say $500,000. They're going to take 5% out each month for each year, I should say, for income. All right, so that'd be about $25,000 per year. All right, now I'm going to add they're going to be invested exactly the same to the penny. All right, and I'll add this: they're going to be in this. They're going to have the same amount of tax-qualified accounts, meaning the same mix of IRA, Roth IRA, maybe non-retirement money. All right, again, invested exactly the same way in all those accounts, taking income from the same account. All right, they got. Do you see any difference here? All right, now at the end of 10 years, the one brother, he has just a little over $1.3 million. Not bad, right? Starts off with $500,000. Just about triples his money while he was taking income from it each year. Not bad. The second brother, all right, at the end of 10 years, taking this same amount out each year, all right, starting off with the same amount, invested exactly the same way, at the end of 10 years, his account is worth just a little over $200,000. Folks, what happened? What happened? How did the one brother just about triple his money and the other one lost better than half its value during that period of time? What happened? Now I'm going to give you a moment to just kind of think about that, right? Remember, they were invested exactly the same way, had the same amount of tax-qualified accounts, taking income from the exact same accounts, and let's add this, maybe they're taken exactly in the same day. What happened? Folks, this is what happened. The only difference between those two portfolios, or those two brothers, was when they retired. The first brother retired in 1990. All right, and guess what he got for 10 years? Nothing but an up market. The second brother retired in 2000, and look what he got. He got 911, right? Market dropped to half its value from 2000 to 2002. And then again in 2008, lost half its value. The only difference between those two brothers or those two portfolios was simply when they retired. So I pose this back to you. If you're somebody that's near retirement and in retirement, you know, how willing are you to gamble what you have in the hopes that you might get the market that the one brother got, but what if you got the market that the other brother got? I encourage you, if that's a concern for you because you're in that situation, near retirement or in retirement, then give us a call, because that's not something you want to be gambling with. You want to be very careful with. So give us a call.
Hi, welcome back, folks. Listen, I'm very happy to have Jack Klunder on with the show with me today. He's our advisor up in the Cadillac area. Jack, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Larry, for having me on. And that segment is a good reminder of the need to look at the type of markets that you feel that we're in right now. Are we in that market where we did have that unprecedented growth for so long, or are we in more volatile times?
You know, Jack, I'm glad you asked that question because, you know, does it really matter? You know, if I'm somebody that's, you know, in retirement or near retirement, and I'm now pulling money from that portfolio, you know, not knowing which direction the market's going to go in, doesn't that play into how I'm going to be wanting to be invested? You know, how willing am I to gamble with, you know, I might get a great market like that one brother had, but what if I get the market that the other brother had, right?
Absolutely. You know, I think another thing that viewers could look at is the order of returns. When you're accumulating your wealth, if you make a big gain and then have a big loss, as you're still contributing and it's still growing and you're not taking any money from it, it doesn't matter. You can look at the math, the order of returns while you accumulate. It doesn't matter if your loss comes first and then your gain, or if your gain comes first and then your loss. But as soon as you get into retirement and you want to start turning that into income, your order of returns matter. A
Yeah,
big loss
yeah.
can just devastate those plans, right?
Yeah, that's very true, Jack. If I don't need that portfolio for income and it drops to half its value, and then I have time for it to come back, no harm done.
Mhm.
No more so than it was in the beginning or the end. But man, if I'm taking income, it's totally different. And then I just want to remind viewers of this. That one brother that lost almost half his value. If he needed that 25,000 for income, and now got down to half. Now he's pulling out 10% of that portfolio. How does he get it back without taking a whole lot more risk on that he doesn't want to take on, right?
Right. And then if he's pulling 10%, then just to stay even, he's got to try to make 10%, and then to grow it anything more than that. And like you said, the kind of risk that you'd have to take on to get anything back could easily put him in a really bad spot.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game. If anybody gets anything out of this, that when you get soon to be retired, the whole game has to change. So folks, I'll let you stay tuned, because in the next couple segments, we're going to be talking about the estate tax exemption, okay, what that's all about, and ladybird deeds. So stay tuned.
Professional golfers have a game plan. Knowing where to attack the golf course is vital, and avoiding the hazards is key. As you can see, we aren't professional golfers. But at Northern Michigan's Centennial Wealth Advisory, we are professional financial advisors. And just like a good golfer, we have a game plan, a holistic approach for your financial future, using income planning, tax planning, estate planning, wealth management, and healthcare planning to help you plan to retire well. We have lived in Northern Michigan all our lives, and we have offices in Traverse City, Gaylord, Petoskey, and Cadillac. Give Centennial Wealth Advisory a call or visit us at cen-wealth.com and let us help you plan to retire well.
Welcome back. I want to talk to you about what's called the estate tax exemption. Okay, now this is an amount that the IRS establishes that you can have, that you can pass on as an inheritance to your heirs, okay, without them having to pay estate tax, okay? Now, if you didn't know this, under the old law before the Tax Reform Act of 2017, that amount that you could pass on without any estate tax was about $5.5 million. And if you were married, now it's basically $11 million that you could pass on. Well, with the Tax Reform Act of 2017, they doubled that again. So now, as an individual, you can pass on a little over $11 million, but if you're married, now it's $22 million. So you can see that not a lot of people or heirs are having to pay what you call estate tax on their inheritance anymore. Now, one thing that's an exception is IRAs. IRA money has never been taxed. That's not something that you can pass on to your heirs without any tax being paid. They're going to have to receive that IRA, and they're going to have to do one of two or three things. First, they can take a lump sum of that IRA and pay the tax on it all at once. Or they have to take it out within 5 years, or if it's for the first heirs, they can stretch it out over their lifetime, which can be highly beneficial, especially if they're in a high tax bracket. Now, I want you to be careful. In old estate planning law, a lot of attorneys would create these trusts that could double the estate tax exemption. Okay? When that estate tax exemption was much lower, let's say at $500,000, that kind of planning was very necessary, especially if somebody had a large estate. But now that the estate tax exemption is so high, I don't see a lot of attorneys doing that kind of planning. But if you had a trust that was done prior to January of 2011, and its sole purpose was to do that kind of planning where it was breaking up your trust into two so you could double that estate tax exemption, you're going to find out that with the new rules from January 2011, it might make that trust a disadvantage Now, a lot of these estate planning attorneys will tell me that all they have to do is put an amendment into your existing trust, but if you haven't had your trust reviewed since that time and you remember your trust being created for that purposefully, then you're going to want to get with an attorney and have that amendment done. Now, another thing just to recognize with, estate planning is that when you pass on an inheritance, they get a step up in basis. So if you pass on a house that maybe you only paid $50,000 for, it's now worth $200,000, they get the ability to step it up and say now they paid $200,000 for it. So if they sell it, it's going to much lower the gain. So hopefully you found this informational. If you don't have an estate plan and you want to kind of be directed to somebody that might be able to help you, we work very closely with a lot of the estate planning attorneys. We'd be glad to help.
Hi, my name is Jack Clunder and I'm a financial advisor with Centennial Wealth Advisory. My wife and I moved up here 13 years ago and we have really enjoyed raising our 4 children in the beautiful northern Michigan country that we have. If you've been watching the show for a while, you know what we specialize in. If you are at retirement or near retirement, give us a call. Call the number on your screen. We can help go through all the different aspects of planning that are involved in retiring well. So I look forward to hearing from you.
Ladybird deeds, what are they? Now, I think the term comes from Lady Bird Johnson, is it, from what I understand. But what are they? Most of your investments, most of your, like your savings account, checking accounts, maybe your investment accounts, you have the ability to set beneficiary designations on those. When you die, they know where to go because you've listed a primary beneficiary. And then in case that primary beneficiary isn't around, you've listed contingent beneficiaries. So this goes in any good estate plan because what you want in a good estate plan is having all your assets knowing where to go. Now there's one asset you have though, for the most part, doesn't know where to go unless you put it in what's called a ladybird deed. That's your home, all right? If you were to leave this earth today, would your home know where to go? Most likely not. So it's going to have to go through probate and then your will is going to have to determine who that home goes to. But here's what you get to do. If you put your house in what's called a ladybird deed, now it doesn't change your incident of ownership, it doesn't change your use of the property in any way. It just simply puts a beneficiary designation on the deed that says when you die, here's where it goes. Now and it completely avoids probate. Now it's a good planning tool when you're looking to, let's say, maybe avoid Medicaid or the state or federal government taking it. Think about it. If you have a house, they tell you they can't take your house to pay for your care if it's the government paying for your care, okay? But if they let you keep your house, but when you pass away, now they can come back after it, all right? Now the way most people used to try to protect it is they try to put it into a trust. But now they say for Medicaid planning, you can't even apply for Medicaid until that house is taken out of a trust. Why did they do that? They did that because they want to be able to attach it. So they don't want you to have it in a trust. But here's the beauty. If you put it in a ladybird deed, what happens is it never goes through probate. Remember that. So when you pass away, it goes to the beneficiary, avoids probate, state or federal government can't touch it. So it's a great, what we call elder law planning tool that you're going to see a lot of attorneys want to use. Now, you can also make the beneficiary of the ladybird deed the trust. So if you indeed, for one reason or another, wanted it to go to the trust, well then just list the trust as the beneficiary in that ladybird deed. Then when you pass away, avoids probate, goes into the trust, then gets distributed according to the trust and how you had it. So folks, this is a great estate planning tool. Listen, if you have a lot of assets and they all know where to go, for the exception of your house, and you want to avoid probate there too, then I suggest you learn more about a ladybird deed. Give us a call. We'd be glad to direct you in the right direction.
Hi, welcome back. Now, I just want our viewers out there to know, if you're that person that's struggling because you have over $22 million and you're worried about estate tax, then we definitely want you to call, right? You're definitely somebody we want to talk to. But let's face it, folks, that's really not affecting a lot of us. Many of us are underneath that limit, and so we're probably not going to have to deal with estate taxes. But you know, Jack, I'll just, this might date me a little bit, but I remember back in 1997 when the estate tax exemption was only $600,000. Can you believe that?
That's a complete change to what we have now. And then if you double that, so a couple could get 1.2 million potentially.
Right, they could get 1.2 million, but to get that double exemption, they had to have a trust that was set up appropriately to give them that double exemption. So that's, so we were doing a lot more of that kind of planning back then.
Whereas
Today,
now,
today not so much.
yeah.
Yeah, so, I also want to remind people that, if they remember at all having a trust established to double that exemption, and it's not been reviewed since 2011, they're going to want to get connected with their estate planning attorney or give us a call and we can connect them, because it really is just a simple amendment to the trust that they're going to want to have.
Yeah, that's one of the things I think is a good reminder of one piece of your financial puzzle. You just want to spend some time looking back over and kind of maintaining, because, for me personally, with younger kids, my legacy estate planning needs are going to be different. And my goals are going to be different. But I find clients all the time where they do a little assessment of their estate planning needs and wants, and they realize really they just need a ladybird deed, and that could help fill out that part of their plan.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because, most people have, if they have any kind of investment accounts, they've got beneficiary designations established with them. And they've got their home. Why not put that, at least do that, even if you're not ready to do a full-blown estate plan, at least do that part of it. Get that beneficiary on your home, because in case anything happens, you can avoid probate.
Yeah, then your accounts, your financial accounts with those beneficiaries, that money knows where to go, and now your house and some of those properties know where to go.
Yeah. Now I can tell you, Jack, and people need to know this. Probate in Northern Michigan, they're efficient. To settle an affair with probate doesn't take as long. If you're downstate, just give me an example where something might take 6 months here, downstate could take 6 years, right? So there's certainly horror stories of probate in other areas. Northern Michigan, we're fine. But if you can, why wouldn't you try to avoid it? If it's just some simple things like doing a ladybird deed or getting a estate plan done, why would you not do that?
Well, that's the fun part about our job, is we get to go on the adventure of trying to uncover, what they need and what they want, and give good advice on how we might best fill out that need or want. So,
okay. Yeah. Now, I want folks, I want you to stay tuned, because in the next couple segments, I'm going to talk about an income planning tool that we use, and then I'm going to talk to you about the income bucket approach. So stay tuned.
What can Retirement Analyzer do for you? Retirement Analyzer is a software tool that can help you prepare today for your financial future. You've worked hard to save for your retirement, but as you near your retirement, you may have concerns. Have I positioned my retirement savings wisely? Have I saved enough for retirement, and will my savings last throughout my lifetime? What impact could inflation have on my future expenses? What if I suffer a long-term illness? Will I have enough money to cover my medical care expenses and still be able to meet my other financial obligations? Could changes in the income tax rates disrupt my retirement strategy? There's no need to be in the dark as you prepare for your retirement. Retirement Analyzer can help you find answers to all these questions and more. The first step is providing us with information on your financial assets, the type and current value of those assets, as well as your sources of income. Then, we work with you to identify your expected expenses in retirement. This will include a discussion of the lifestyle you envision in retirement, travel, a summer residence, whatever you dream your retirement will be. We'll input the information you provide us into the Retirement Analyzer, and in a very short time we'll have reports that show us the percentage of assets currently in high-risk vehicles, as well as the percent in lower-risk products. Retirement Analyzer enables us to project your income from year to year in your retirement and see how long your retirement savings may last. as we change the conditions of the report, delaying your retirement date, including costs for long-term care, adjusting the expected tax rate, or adjusting your retirement strategies, we can see how changes in these variables may impact your income in retirement and the longevity of your retirement savings. Let the Retirement Analyzer help you test drive your retirement strategy today, because the time to discover the bumps in the road is not once your trip through retirement has begun. Contact our office today to schedule an appointment for your Retirement Analyzer review.
Hi, welcome back. Listen, in this segment of Chalk Talk, I want to show you how you might structure a portfolio to get the best results, especially if you're taking income, okay, or you're in retirement. First of all, I want you to take your total savings. Okay, this is everything you have, from IRA money, 401k money, maybe even, that non-retirement money, okay? I want you to take all of that, and then I want you to, number one, segment enough aside for emergencies, okay? That would be your savings account. I've heard some people say, well, that needs to be 3 months income. Others say 6 months, maybe even a year. Doesn't matter. Is whatever amount you feel comfortable with having set aside for any kind of an emergency that might come around. Now, how that money is going to be invested, it's going to be highly liquid, it's going to be highly conservative, right? Because I may need that with very short notice. The second thing I want you to do is then set aside money and put it in what we call the income bucket, okay? When you're working and you're getting a paycheck every week, maybe every other week, okay, your income needs are being met. And then you've got your savings doing what it's supposed to do, right? Hopefully growing. Well, like in this bucket, to the bucket you need to create to give yourself a steady amount of income that's going to replace that paycheck, especially when you get to retirement. All right? Now, once I've set aside money for that, then I've got what I call the conservative growth bucket. Okay, this is money that you want to set aside for all those intermediate term needs, okay? Maybe it's a car repair, maybe it's a car replacement, all right? Maybe it's a home improvements, home repair. Maybe it's those extra vacations we want to take, those ones that might be on our bucket list, right? Maybe it's some of those healthcare costs we want to set aside for. Whatever it might be, that's going to be invested in a certain way as well, because I might need it in the near term, or I don't want it having a lot of volatility, right? Now, if I've set aside for my emergencies, I've set aside for my income, and maybe anything that might come up in interim, then everything else can pretty much go in that growth bucket, all right? That's traditionally how we probably had things invested while we were working. Okay, that can have a little bit of volatility associated with it because I don't need it for income, I don't need it for emergencies, okay, but I do want it hopefully to grow, okay. I want it to grow because as this bucket, I use this bucket, I want some of this maybe to replace and get back into that bucket. So folks, if you use what we call the bucket approach and you structure it accordingly, the kind of results you're going to have are going to be much, much better in retirement. If this is something you want to see for yourself, then I encourage you, give us a call. We'd be glad to run through this with you and how it might be appropriate for you. Hi, my name is Larry Flynn. I'm a financial advisor, senior partner here at Centennial Wealth Advisory. Listen, with this coronavirus, it created unprecedented times. High unemployment, you got a lot of businesses not reopening. Whether there comes a treatment or a vaccine for this disease, we don't know. There's just a lot of questions, a lot of uncertainty. But your financial well-being is still very important. And if you're in retirement or near retirement, then getting some good, sound financial advice is going to be critical. So in these unprecedented times, we're understanding that safety is a concern, and so we're offering a couple options. If you're willing to talk by phone or want to do a virtual meeting, whether that be Zoom or something like that, we're offering that ability to do that. If you're somebody that does want to meet in person, we're trying to accommodate that as well. We're saying, we're not going to have any two clients meet at once. We're sanitizing it before and after you're here, and we're keeping the proper social distancing in place while we meet. So if these are a couple options you might want to pursue, we encourage you to just give us a call on the number that's on the screen, or visit our website at sen-wealth.com, and just basically you can set up a meeting there. Stay safe. If you have some financial concerns and need to address those, then certainly give us a call.
Hey Larry, that was fun to watch. It reminded me of my freshman year in high school when my science teacher asked for what is the one constant that we see in life? And the answer is change. Change happens. And what I love about Retirement Analyzer is we get to go through all of those possible changes to your retirement plan. We run different scenarios all of the time. A client calls in, hey, can I retire? Or, hey, they just downsized. What does that do to my plan? Or, hey, I want to retire in 3 or 4 years and I want to take Social Security at 62. Is that better? Or should I wait till 67? And you just get to collect all these variables, put them in, let the numbers calculate out, and see all the forces on either side, and then see if you like the outcomes. But you get to be really proactive, and I think that's what the best part of that tool.
Yeah, Jack, I can think of a client who, we had long time ago set the plan. They were moving along just fine. And then there was this once in a lifetime vacation they wanted to take, and it was going to cost a considerable amount of money. And they said, Larry, we want to take this trip, but how's this going to affect our plan, And so we ran the scenario, we took a kind of a lump sum out of their savings to take that trip, reran the plan to, with the income they were taking, and they were so pleased to find out that it didn't dramatically change their plan, and they could take that trip. So being able to run all those scenarios in real time is really fun sometimes. So
it is. And I find myself saying, hey, listen, you gotta spend some money here. Like that, that's the fun part where you get proactive and you get things in place, and then you get to do the reaping the rewards of that. So
yeah. And then, when we were talking about that income bucket approach, I think of that brother we talked about in the first segment, that, lost half his value. Had he needed that $25,000 for income and just segmented some of his savings to secure that income, look how much different that the result could have been had he just simply structured his portfolio a little bit differently, right?
That's right. You put some in that no risk bucket that we don't want to put into the volatility of the market. And you just say that's going to cover some time. Now we can let the market do what it's going to do. And then as we go through our plan and go through our retirement, it's awesome to have an ability to take money and sell it at no loss, right? So, you can take that income during those times. And
with that, folks, that's all we have for you today. Now, listen, if you're somebody that, needs some income planning, estate planning, whether that be tax planning or just investment management, give us a call. We'd be glad to help you. So thank you for joining us this week. We'll see you next week.